Beginning with your sitting bones or any parts of your body that are connected to the ground, draw your attention to those places and close your eyes. And take a breath. A couple of breaths. And feel your positioning, where you are in relation to the earth itself, the ground below you. Imagine the space between you, where you contact the floor, and the actual earth. And take a moment to notice that there are structures that connect you to the earth. So I'm sitting on my mat. It's connected to the floor. The floor is part of the top floor of a house where I live. And the structure of that house sits on the actual earth, on the ground. So I can feel the connection of this building that I'm within to the ground. Feel that for yourself as you take a couple more breaths. Good. And then open your eyes. Today we'll go straight into our neck stretches by request. We need a little neck work. We're going straight there today. Take one ear towards your shoulder, the other ear up towards the sky. Let your shoulders be low and loose. And take 2 big breaths, releasing anything that you become aware of in your neck. When you're ready, over to the other side. And 2 more breaths. Okay, let's do both sides again. But this time we'll do a variation. So you're over at the first side, ear lifted. We're going to look down towards the armpit and take the hand that's attached to that arm and lay it on top of the head with a little extra weight. Not pulling, just a little weight on top. And notice how that changes the stretch in your neck for 2 breaths. Then release the hands, and I invite you to do a neck roll to get over to the other side. So really slowly rolling around the front until your eyes are now looking down at the opposite armpit. And you have the same choices. If you'd like, take the hand that's attached to that arm, lay it on top of your head, for 2 breaths. Release the hands. Roll the head back to center. And raise the head back up. Good. And let's also walk the eyes across the floor and up the opposite wall, across the ceiling, opening up your jaw and your mouth as you take some big breaths. Walking the eyes slowly back until the chin is on or close to the chest again. And this time, we're going to interlace our fingers in front of us. Look into the palms as you inhale and raise your arms up to full height. Return your head to center. Exhale and release. Excellent. So we're going to do a little bit with the hands and the feet, and then we'll get into a bit of a sequence. So starting with the hands, we are going to give ourselves a self-massage. So you've got a couple of choices here. If you've got 2 hands, you can use one to massage the other. So give that a try. Take one hand and start to pinch the muscles of the flesh that sits between the thumb and the first finger. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're just exploring what feels like good contact from one hand to the other. I like a lot of pressure whenever I get a massage done out by a professional. I like good, hard, deep massage. Other people might just more appreciate the contact, a little bit of movement of the fingers sliding against the other hand. So you find what feels good. And then move it on. So maybe you try, if you think about the bones of the hand, you're not pressing on the bones, but rather in between the bones, noticing, trying to look for the muscles, the places that feel good when we get a little bit of touch, a little bit of pressure. So just move that way, one hand on the other, finding the spaces between the bones of the hand. And then when you're ready, maybe a little bit of pulling on each finger. So starting with the thumb, I'm going to take 2 fingers of my other hand and start at the knuckle of the thumb and pull to the tip of the thumb. And then start at the knuckle of the first finger and pull to the tip of the finger. And just keep going through all the fingers on your hand. And if it feels like you want to do something else as a hand massage, go ahead. Our hands do a lot for us every single day. So the other thing to apply here, if you wish, if you choose, is you can be appreciative as you're massaging your one hand. Give it a little bit of gratitude. Okay, and let's try spreading the fingers of the one hand that you've been massaging. So really wide, you're making the widest space you can from your thumb to your pinky, stretching, spreading, reaching. And then in that spread finger position, see how it is to then bring the thumb close to the palm and then stretch it back out. And then the pointer finger, bend it down toward the palm, stretch it back out. So one finger at a time, just reaching towards the palm, stretching back out. Good. Each of your fingers in turn. Maybe you don't feel this very much, and maybe there's some of you that feel it a lot. It's all good. Give it a big shake. And same hand that you've been working with, one more thing. Take the hand that was doing the massaging and press it against the massaged hand, fingers, so that you can get that stretch in your forearm. And a couple of grateful, appreciative breaths for the hand and the forearm. Good. And then the other way, we're going to press on the back of the hand, getting into the back of the forearm as a stretch and breathing. Good. Shake that one out, and let's do all of that on the other side. So now we're massaging the hand that should be nice and loose, finding the flesh between the thumb and the pointer finger on the hand, starting to pinch or pull or press. Give a little love to that area. And then move across the hand. So find the bones of this hand, and the spaces in between the bones is where we're pressing, sliding, making a little loving pressure for our hand. As you're ready, you'll do the same with each finger. So starting at the knuckle of the thumb, or pulling to the tip of the thumb. Starting at the knuckle of the pointer finger, we're pulling to the tip of the pointer finger, and so on. Breathing as you need to. Good. When that feels complete, you're spreading the fingers of that hand, spreading them really wide. Your widest from thumb to pinky finger, spread, spread, spread. And then we'll keep the spread shape, but tuck the thumb towards the palm for a moment, and then stretch it back out. Then bring the pointer finger down towards the palm a little bit, stretch it back out. Middle finger towards the palm, stretch back out, and so on. I really feel this though. Good. When that's complete, other hand presses against fingers and palm of the hand you are just massaging. Let's get that stretch through the forearm. 3 caring, appreciative breaths. And what do you notice on this side? Are you aware that one forearm versus the other is more tight? And flip it around, press on the back of the hand now, and breathe. And shake out both those hands and arms now. Grab a sip of water, and we'll work with the feet. Okay, so you got 2 choices. If you were able to find a ball or a glass or a can or something to roll your foot on, you're now going to place that underneath your foot. If you were unable to get that kind of a prop, no problem. You're just going to give a self-massage to your foot in the same way that you just did to your hand. So self-massage of the foot, again, just like you did to the hand, you're going to start pressing around the heel and sliding the fingers up towards the toes. And just find what works. Find what feels good. That's what we're doing with the ball as well. So if you've got a ball or glass, you're just rolling, starting at the heel, rolling that ball up towards the toes. Move it over a little bit on the heel, roll it up towards the toes, and then roll it back. Roll back and forth, getting a little pressure underneath the foot. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're just finding what feels good. Now, because I've got a ball, I can roll it the other direction as well. This will be a little trickier if you're using a can or glass. But if you have a ball, you can also move your foot from left to right. I like the massage under the ball of the foot. And closer to where the toe joints are. Need a little pressure there. Good. Let's change feet to the other one. Same thing. Explore what works as you put a little bit of pressure, rolling the ball or rolling the can or giving a self-massage from heel all the way up to toes. Finding all those lines in the muscles of the feet. And again, how much do our feet do for us? How much time do we spend standing or walking or getting from place to place? We want these feet to be well cared for. They are good to us every day. Good. So just do 2 more breaths there. Anything you want to do for your foot. And set aside whatever props you've been working with. And let's come to lying down on the back. Some of our usual back poses. This is where you want the strap close by if it's easy to reach. So take a moment as you lay down to feel all the parts of you that are in contact with the ground. Take a couple of breaths to arrive on the floor. We're working with the idea of choice today. Choice in how we explore each of the poses and postures, and also choice in what we do with the mind in each of the postures. So here's your first choice. We're going to do the ankle crossed onto the thigh pose, which we've done lots. You have the choice of opening the arms up to lay on the floor, elbow extending from shoulder, hand at right angle in cactus arms, or alternately interlacing your fingers around the hamstring that you're pulling towards you. So please make that choice. And then we're going to hang out here for a while. So I invite you to find the part of the pose that works for you. How do you do this pose today in a way that's going to bring some good, some comfort to your body? Let's breathe into whatever you've chosen. We're going to hold here a little extra today. And that gives our mind some choices as well. So whenever we hold a pose longer, there's a little more time for the mind to start doing all the things the mind does. Getting distracted or wandering off, doing some remembering or planning, other mind tasks. And so we always have a choice with the mind as well, though it takes a bit of practice. So where would you like your mind to be in this pose? It's a choice just to let it go. You don't have to do anything at all. Or it's a choice to focus on breathing. Let's do one more breath here. And then slowly change sides. We're really being purposeful about where you place each limb. And notice as you change to the other side. And make your choice about arms in cactus or fingers interlaced around the hamstring. And again, we're going to hold here extra time today. Find your way into the pose first. Make your choice about what feels right for your body today in the pose. And then make a choice about what you'll do with your mind here. Take 2 more breaths. Another option to refocus the mind if you choose. Then observe as you shift to pull the knees in towards your chest, to extend the arms long from shoulders on out along the floor, and to flop both your knees to one side with a thud. If you like, the eyes can look straight up at the ceiling, or alternately, they can look the opposite way of your knees. And we're going to hold here a little extra time as well. So once you've chosen where the body should be for you today, again, I invite you to choose your mind activity. Are you letting the mind wander? It's totally fine if that's your choice. Or would you like the mind to focus on the breath? Two more big breaths here. Contract your core and observe as you pull the knees back to center, and then let them bud over to the other side. Decide if you'd like your eyes to look at the ceiling or turn the head to look the opposite way of knees. Make any choices about adjusting your body in this pose. And then we'll hang out here Again, with the option of the mind can wander, or it can focus on breath. The other option is to focus on a mantra. So choosing one word or perhaps your intention for your practice and repeating that over and over silently to yourself. Few more breaths. Choice for where you put the mind. Contract the core. Bring the knees back to center. Hug the knees in and just rock side to side. How's the body doing so far? Good. You've got your strap close by. And if you don't have a strap, totally fine to use your arms. You're going to interlace your fingers around the back of the hamstring, or you're going to use the strap around the bottom of the foot. We'll start by sending that flexed foot towards the sky. And you're looking for where can you position the strap and your foot so that your leg is mostly straight and mostly not shaking. I get lots of tightness in my hamstring, so sometimes the leg just does shake. And that could be a choice. If that's where you think you're going to get good release, then choose there. So take a moment to explore. How does it feel to push the foot a little further away from you? How does it feel to bring that heel a little closer or the toes closer to your nose? I feel that immediately. That's lots of tightness for me. So now I'm going to find where my sweet spot is for my body today. We're going to hang out here and make a choice of where to focus our mind. We'll take a couple more breaths here, inviting you to move the foot a little bit. So maybe pointing the toes and very much flexing the foot, going back and forth, pointing and flexing. And then if you like, maybe making some circles, ankle circles. One direction and then the other direction. Again, giving a little love to the foot and the ankles today. If you've got a strap, you will have good ability to open your foot up off to the side. So I've got my right foot in the strap, so I'm opening towards the right. If you've got a left foot in the strap, you're opening to the left. The foot isn't laying on the ground, but it's hovering off the ground. My hand holding the strap allows me to do that. You could also lay it on a piece of furniture or lay it against the wall, anything to prop it up. You could also use your hand. If you don't have a strap, you could anchor your elbow to the floor, put your hand underneath your thigh, and hold the leg that way. So choose where you can be in this pose that feels like a good choice for you. Feels like one that will bring comfort, not distress. And let's hold and breathe and choose where you'd like your mind to focus. Two more breaths. Remembering that you can come out of it early. So if something starts to strain, I can feel a lot of pressure in my forearm. So if I start to feel like, that's not going to work well if I hold longer, I can come out of it early. I can change the position. I can shift midway. All of those are good choices. Let's now take the same leg in the same strap over to the other side. And I like to change hands. So I'm bringing it to my opposite hand so that I can open up the other hand as a bit of an anchor. I like to straighten out the leg that's not in the strap just so that it's out of the way. So again, find your way that's going to work for your body today. Make any adjustments, choose the right spots. And start to breathe. And focus the mind. Let's do two more breaths here. Again, choosing if you're going to continue or come out of it early or change something. And let's bring that leg back in. Take the other foot into the strap. And send that foot skyward with the flexed foot. You feel for me, my left leg is tighter today. So flex that foot, find your right positioning. Again, you could play with it. You can see how is it to stretch it more towards the opposite wall. How is it to bring it closer, toes closer to nose? And what's the place for you today? Let's breathe. I invite you to stay for a couple more breaths, but try moving the foot. So a little pointing and flexing, toes pointed, and then heel pressed. And then perhaps if you like, choose ankle circles. Circling one way, and then the other. Love and gratitude to the ankles. Good. So we're opening this leg up now, off to the side. I've got my left leg in the strap this time, so I'm opening off to the left. I've got the wall here propping my leg up, so that actually means my arm doesn't have to do much work. Enjoying that. I'm going to choose that and breathe. Two more breaths. You could adjust, you could come out early, you could make it a little more challenging or a little easier by changing the position of the leg. And let's contract core. Bring that leg now over to the other side. I like to change the other hand, holding the strap, moving my bent knee, the other leg out of the way. Bringing that leg across the body. Got the counterbalance of my other arm. So my leg is pointing one direction. My other arm is pulling the other. So a little counterbalance. And breathing. Where would you like your mind to be for this one? Two more breaths, choosing to stay with it or stop early, or to make it harder or easier, depending on where you've held the strap. And bending that knee, removing the strap now, setting it aside. And then do what feels restoring for you. Here's a couple of choices. You could windshield wiper the legs, which when the feet are hip width apart, you're just moving the knees one side to the other, enjoying the movement in the hips. Or you could hug your knees into your chest. Or you could stretch your body all the way stretched out, feet pointing one way, arms pointing the other. You choose what feels restoring. Excellent. We can't leave this lying on the floor position without doing some core work. I'm going to take my socks off, so I've got a bit of grip now, feet to mat. I'm planting my feet hip width apart. Knees are also hip width apart. And we're finding the core. Where is it today? Can you squeeze internally your Kegel, your low abdominals? When you're squeezing those two, likely your low back is also connected. You may or may not be aware of it. And spread your toes wide now. Just like we spread the fingers earlier, spread your toes and connect your big toes to the mat. Contract your core and lift your tailbone. And then see how it is to go slowly, lifting one vertebra up at a time into bridge pose. Remembering that we're trying to bring our hips high, but not as high as possible. We're not trying to thrust those hip bones to the ceiling. We're trying to keep good alignment in our spine. Feel a little bit of weight on the back of the neck, top of the shoulders. And then we'll go back down one vertebra at a time, slowly to the floor. Good, that's the move. We're going to do that several times. As you wish, though, it's your choice. So if you're choosing it, you're contracting your core, lifting your tailbone, spreading toes, pushing big toes into mat, keeping those big toes connected to the mat as you lift one vertebra at a time up into bridge. Holding at the top of the bridge for a couple of breaths. Still feeling those big toes pressing. And slowly coming down. So the time that you might choose not to do extra bridges is if you're getting some cramping in your hamstrings. If that's the case, you might be better off to choose more hamstring stretches, like we were doing with the strap, letting some ease into that part of the body. If you're okay, though, we're doing a couple of more bridges if you're choosing. And we have some variations here. So if you'd like, you can drop one hip 1 inch. And then use your strong back muscles to bring it back to full height. Drop the other hip 1 inch. Bring it back to full height. Go back and forth that way. Breathe as you need to. This is asking a lot of our bodies. Slowly down, one vertebra at a time. And let's choose to release it again. Any restoring pose that feels good. Could be legs in, could be rocking, could be stretching your body all the way out. Could be windshield wipers, you choose. Good, and let's come to tabletop. So we've got knees directly over top of our hips. We're going to try the toe tap position. So starting with the right leg, with our core contracted, we're moving the right leg towards tapping the toe on the floor. It does not matter if the toe actually touches. That's not the point. The point is that the core is working to lower the leg a little bit, and then the core is working even more to bring the leg back up. It's a subtle movement. You might not notice it, but it's happening. So do that movement. Bring the toe towards the ground, and then back up with good core contraction throughout. We're just working with the right leg. Finding a way to breathe. Maybe the toe is touching, maybe it's not, doesn't matter. We'll do 3 more of these motions. Good. And then we'll go right to the other side. The left leg now, same thing. Core is contracted, and it's the core that's allowing the toes toward the ground, and it's the core that's bringing the leg back up. Noticing if you're holding your breath at all. We are trying to keep the calves parallel to the ground. My heels get a little heavy, I find. The longer I do these, my heels start to sink. And so we are trying to bring ourselves back up each time so that the calves are parallel to the floor. 3 more. And any release that feels restoring. The release is just as important as the strengthening poses. Place your legs in that tabletop position again, but this time the knees are zipped together, heels are zipped together, legs are together. Do the double toe taps. Contract your core and aim both legs if you can. Now, if you try that and that feels like, whew, that's too much work for me, or it's straining my back and it doesn't feel right, then just go back to the single. You don't have to do the double toe tap. And remembering you don't have to touch the floor. The actual contact with the mat and the toes is not what's important. It's the movement. And it's especially when you're at the bottom, you want to use the core to bring those knees back up. Core is doing the work. Remembering that all of this is so good to prevent low back injury. All the core strengthening that we do is in service to our back. Let's do 3 more if you choose. And then anything you need to do, windshield wiper it out, or hug the knees in, or stretch. We want to release any tension that built up through that strengthening. Good. And then we're about to flip ourselves over to be on hands and knees. So when you're ready, turn over, push yourself up, take a little moment. Take a moment to grab a sip of water, or readjust. We've been on the floor a little while. And check in with yourself. You've been making choices all the way through the practice so far. Do you feel like you've been making the ones that bring sustenance to your body? Either bring comfort, bring opening, bring strengths. You know, what is it that you are bringing in these choices, and does it feel like the right ones for you? Let's come to hands and knees. I've got a few challenge poses for you. So if you're finding that some of the arm-based stuff or more challenging work is too much, then today will be an important day to make a different choice. So I'll be offering some things. Please, you can choose to do them or not. Starting on hands and knees, we've got hands under shoulders, we've got knees under hips, rounding and arching. Using our breath, breathing in as we move one direction, out as we move the other, checking in with the spine, and really spreading the fingers wide here. We worked with those fingers earlier. Get the benefit now, having them spread on the mat and really connecting the pads of the fingers as well as the palms to the mat. Okay, I'm going to invite you into some core strength through plank. So if you like, you can choose a full plank, or you can choose a knees down plank. Either one you choose, I'm going to offer up some variations. They're fun. I mean, really, you're going to love them. Or you're going to choose to skip them. Both are fine. So we're holding planks, feeling broad across the back of the shoulders. Remembering that whether we know it or not, our core is engaged here to be able to hold us up in plank. And we're building some arm strength. I bet you've noticed that. So as a variation option, if you'd like, bring one knee towards your nose and then send it back to plank. Bring the other knee to your nose. Send it back. That's the move. If you choose it, please do keep breathing through it. And I'm moving my head a little bit as my knee comes to nose. I kind of look at the knee and then bring my head back to the plank position. And push into downward dog, or go into the downward dog alternate that you know. Both are fine. If you're doing the full downward dog, you're really pressing your hips as far back as you can. And then perhaps straighten each leg with foot, heel pressed towards the floor, getting a little calf stretch in there. So remembering you can take a break anytime. I also know that some of you like an extra challenge. So if you are that person, then I invite you to take your right leg up into a three-legged dog and hold here for 2 breaths. And in a moment, we're going to step that right leg forward in between your 2 hands. Good. I invite you to plant the back foot down in 45-degree angle position. And find strength through your feet and through your legs so that you can stand up tall. Good. So what we have with our legs is actually a warrior 1 position, front knee bent, back leg mostly straight, but foot at 45 degrees, which is a little different than we usually do. From there, shift your hips to mostly face forward, facing the bent knee, and raise your arms up, bringing your hands together, fingers pointed towards the sky. Let's hold with strength. Force, breathe. If possible, you want to feel the weight spread equally across your feet. Imagine the 4 corners of each foot taking weight. Maybe bending the front knee a little more. Few more breaths here. And then I've got more challenge for those who wish to choose it. Bring your hands down, interlace your fingers behind you, pull your elbows straight, pulling your wrists apart from each other. Totally fine to do this in this upright position, to stay here. Or, if you choose, draw your head down towards your bent knee. So you really need to focus on your feet. You need to keep the weight equally through all 4 corners. You need to engage the core a little bit. And then just descend. Head can go wherever it goes. My head is certainly not touching my knee or my leg. It's just aiming towards it. And we'll hold here 3 breaths. Use strength. Bring yourself back to upright. Release your fingers. Bring your hands back up into a V shape. Palms facing each other for another 3 breaths. Big open heart. Good. Send your hands down, if possible, so that they land beside the front foot. Step back. Just remember which foot you were using there. So for me, it was the right. Let's take a moment to let it all go in pose of child. So you're choosing your release here. Maybe it's pose of child, maybe it's something else. Find anything that feels restoring after what we just did. Round yourself back up. And we get to do all of that on the other side. Back to hands and knees. And let's go straight into downward dog. So either full down dog or the alternate. Remembering to straighten one leg, anchoring your toes to mat, pressing heel away, gives you the exact same goodness as the full down dog. You choose. Explore a little bit, pressing each heel. And if you're choosing it, it's the left leg now. It raises up into 3-legged dog. Breathing as we hold. Fingers are spread wide. Pads of the fingers and palms taking weight. And now stepping that left foot forward. Planting your back foot, 45-degree angle. Finding balance and strength through the feet so that you can rise yourself up. Bringing hands together. Palms and fingers touch each other. Fingers pointed to sky. And breathing with low shoulders. Noticing your feet. Finding the 4 corners of each foot. Helping to equalize the weight. Perhaps playing around with the bend in your knee. Front knee could be more bent or less bent. Two more breaths here. Bring your hands down. Interlace your fingers behind you. Pull your wrists apart from each other as you straighten your elbows. And choose. Would you like to stay here? Or draw your head down with core strength a little bit towards the front knee. Begin to breathe, whatever you've chosen. I can see my back legs starting to shake. This is taxing my legs today. Again, being aware of the 4 corners of each foot. Seeing if you can find a little bit of weight there in each of them. 2 more breaths. Strong core brings you back up. Let go of those fingers. Raise arms up in a V. Palms facing each other. Hips mostly facing forward towards your bent knee. Shoulders low. And 3 breaths. Excellent. If you're willing, we're taking those top hands down again, beside the front foot. Stepping that front foot back. And knees down again to pose of child. Or any variation that brings a little restoration. Round yourself up. Well done. Any of the choices you made today, I know you made the best ones for you. Totally trust that you practiced that so much that you're good at it. Let's have a sip of water and get ready for Shavasana. You choose lying down Shavasana or more seated meditation. And please get really comfortable today. Today's the right day to grab an extra blanket or find a way to make the Shavasana just the best. Choose your own comfort. As you're getting settled in, mention that choosing your own comfort, when we're making choices during our yoga practice or outside of our yoga practice in real life, we're being guided in yoga to find the choice that brings us comfort, our body's comfort, that's not going to lead to a consequence of our bodies being harmed or in distress. So choosing our own comfort and considering the consequences to those around us. So in our practice, it's mostly just ourselves that will be impacted. But of course, in real life, you're balancing the choice of your comfort that's also going to lead to the most happiness and comfort for those around you as well as you. I'm going to talk you through a guided meditation. And the name of it is a meditation to invoke joy. It's by James Baraz. And in other times, we've talked a little bit in this group about maybe joy is something that really works for you. That might be a word that resonates, or it might not be. Not all of us are joy seekers, is what I've learned. And so we're going to look back in our memories for something that felt good, maybe felt joyful or something similar. But if joy isn't the word for you, then maybe consider contentment or gratefulness. There might be something similar. Whatever is a good fill you up kind of a feeling. Feel free to make your own substitution. So please get as comfortable as you can possibly get. Make any adjustments that you would like to make. And start to give yourself the gift of letting go by breathing. If you like, close your eyes and breathe slowly and deeply. I invite you to breathe in relaxation and a sense of ease. And let go of any tension as you exhale. Let the warmth of relaxation flow through your whole body, from your head all the way down to your feet. Find your way to the still, quiet center of your being. With your body relaxed, your emotions calm, your mind peaceful and spacious. I invite you to think of a time when you experienced great joy and well-being. Take a few moments to think back. Perhaps it's when you were in a beautiful place, or perhaps when you were with a good friend or people who brought beauty and joy to your life. If it's available to you, recall your experience with as much detail as you can. If possible, bring an image of that moment to mind. What was happening? What was the environment like? Were you alone or with others? What sights or sounds can you remember? Remember how the experience of well-being or joy felt in your body. Did your body feel light, energetic, expansive? What did joy or well-being feel like in your mind? Did your mind feel open, present, clear? Take a few moments to let your awareness feel the sensations in your body and the mood in your mind. Let those sensations fully register as you breathe in this feeling of well-being. Relax into it with each exhalation. And we'll stay here silently for one more minute. And now, take 3 deeper breaths. Sighing, making any sound that you need to make to really let go of that practice. Knowing that you can return to that image, if that worked well for you, that's something you could find again at other times in your day or your week. If you're lying down, turn onto your side, take a moment there, and then slowly push yourself up to sitting. Find your base. Feel again the sense of you positioned on this earth. Where are you and where's the earth? Find the space that connects you. And feel this tall spine, crown of your head, anchoring you up into the cosmos. Let's take the thumb into the hand. Inhale and raise. Low shoulders. 2 breaths. Hands together. 2 breaths. And up, and either behind or in front of the neck. Full extension, breathing in. Slow, observing hands as you move them to heart, breathing out. And last breath at heart. Namaste. Thank you.